Hey guys, so I see a lot of people when they start off, at least this is how I felt when I started off with SQL, is that I didn't really know how to explore, right? So it's like being in a restaurant and the server's like, hey, what can I get you? And there's no menu, no menu on the table. So you're like, what do you have? So one way where you can see what's on the menu and you can see what data is available to you is two methods really. So I want to talk about two methods to figure out how you can explore. And Explorer is in the second option here. So we have top 10 and we also have Object Explorer. So what I'm going to do right now is grab another window. So let's say you have this SQL script from somebody. Maybe it's a report, maybe you got it from somebody, maybe it's just already pre-built somehow, right? So I like to take a new tab. If you saw me, I clicked on new query up there, and then I like to drag it into this right quadrant. So this lets you do a side by side, and you can run SQLs on the same whole app window, but in two different instances. So let's say that I run this on the left-hand side and I'm clicking F5. You can also click on execute. And right now it's grayed out because my query is running, and you can see that down here, there's a little timer. When it finishes, you'll see the row count. So if you click execute or you click F5 on your keyboard, if you're using a PC, both of those will run the script for you and give you your results. So back to what I was saying about exploring. So the first method I want to talk about is going to be top 10. So top 10 tells SQL, hey, give me the first 10 rows you see. It's not in any order, completely random. It could be the oldest data, the newest data. It depends, right? So for this situation, I'm only going to do this if I just want a glimpse, a preview into the table that I'm looking at. So I can do on the right hand side, I can say select top 10 in parentheses, asterisk from, and I'm going to just grab the same table here, database.dbo.table, database.dbo.table. And if I run this, it's going to run the top 10, it's going to provide back the top 10 rows it finds. So if I hit F5, I'm going to see 10 rows. If you look at the bottom right here, it says 10 rows, and that's because I have a 10 here. If I had 100 here and I run it again, it's going to give me the top 100 rows. So it's a nice way to just take a glimpse at this table. And there's a lot of reasons why you'll want to do that. Let's say you don't know what fields are in this table, but you know that you just want to look at all the data. But you don't want to pull all 800,000 rows, right? Because it's taxing on the SQL system, on the environment. You're going to get an angry email from a DBA, database administrator, who's saying, hey, what the heck? Why are you grabbing 2 million records from this table? They're going to want to know why, because it's their job to maintain the performance, and you're going to bog it down if you do select all. So just for an example, if I take this and I'll hit execute this time, I won't hit F5. If I run this, you see it's taking time, right? And it's a few seconds, but those few seconds can be precious when there's thousands of people running SQL scripts on servers. So you can see just with the 800,000 records we have in this table, it's taking a long time because it's grabbing, when I do star, it's grabbing all the fields, all the columns in this table, and it's grabbing all the records. And excuse me, I didn't even realize because on this left side, I have some constraints, right? But on the right side, this is the complete everything from this table. I have 1 million records. So that's going to be a tremendous tax on the system. If you're running around just doing select star from all these different database tables, you're going to get hunted down by the DBAs. So A good way instead is to do option 1, which is top 10, right? So let's type that back in. Select top 10 star. And when that took 31 seconds to run, which that may not sound like a long time, but that is. So it took 31 seconds to run. It took not even a second to run if I do top 10. And now you're not taxing the environment and you're able to see clearly, hey, what's in this table. So now you've just grabbed the menu, right? So this grabs the menu. If you want to think of it like that, right? Think of it however you want. But this is grabbing the menu of everything in this table, all the columns. And excuse me, I shouldn't say everything. It's all the columns because everything would be all the rows. And I'm not grabbing all the rows. I'm grabbing all the columns. Columns are horizontal, records or rows are vertical. So these are all the rows if I go down, and then the columns go left and right. So loan key, loan ID, member ID, issue date, these are all columns slash fields. So that's method 1, top 10. Method 2, if I close this window, method 2 is going to be a very handy tool, which you'll use a lot, Object Explorer. So you click on View, Object Explorer, and this is going to show you your menu. This is going to show you your servers that you're connected to. It's going to show you your databases that you're connected to. So if I collapse this, I can see that this is my server, right? So I've connected to this server, localhost. So if I want to look at the databases, I can drop down this menu here, and then I can see 2 different databases that I have here under my server. Server is like state, and then I have my cities within that server, within that state. I have Lending Club Sandbox, and I also have Real Estate Sandbox. So this is my Lending Club Sandbox table here, Lending Club Loans, and this is my Object Explorer view of that database. So if I want to look at all the tables inside this database, then I can click on Expand for tables, and then I can see this table here that I'm looking at right now. So this is Lending Club Loans. Lending Club Loans is here. I also have Lending Club Loans Raw, which I'll get into later. But let's say that I want to see all the columns in this table. You can either do top 10, or you can come to the Object Explorer, right? View, Object Explorer, and you can drop down, you can expand this table, and then yet one more time. So you're drilling down a little ways, but all of this is going to look very familiar. It's going to look very clear the more you get used to it. So if I expand this table, I can see all these columns, right? Which is the same thing if I had done top 10 star, run that F5. So top 10, these are all my columns, and then they line up here, right? My loan key is first column. Second column is my loan ID here. Third column is member ID, which is here. Issue date, term months, and so on and so forth, right? So this is going to be even handier sometimes than top 10 because you're going to see the data type. You're going to see this loan amount is a money data type, which we won't get into right now, but you'll find this useful in the future. You have a var chart. These are the how SQL stores the data inside of these columns, right? So this last payment date, which is the third to last column here, we have nulls here, but it's stored as a date. So we can get into that later, but here's another good example down here, load date time. So this is, if you see here, it says date time, and that's the data type. That's how the data is being stored in this column. And we look off to the right, and it's a date time, right? Makes sense. Date time. It's storing load DTS as a date time, and that's why you see date and time, date time. So a lot of reasons why you want to store down data a certain way, but that's not for this video. This video is just highlighting the two different ways where you can explore your tables and your databases. You can use either of these methods depending on what you need it for. Both of them are going to show you what's in here, and both of them are going to be kind of a good best practice with how you could look at a table without taxing the environment too much, um, maybe without even needing to ask for help, right? So if you don't know Object Explorer is there and you're just looking at this, maybe your first reaction is to ask somebody who knows SQL to be like, hey, why can't I see all the fields, or what is available? What's on the menu for me to pick from? What are all the options in this table? What are all the columns that I can see, right? So those are two options, top 10 and Object Explorer. So thanks, guys.